Welcome to the Andrea Giovino Show. Curtis Sliwa, I'm sure you've heard of him. Attempted murder, change of New York. He's going to be running for mayor. Here you are, Curtis, Toby.
Pleasure. This is Upalats.
Yes, let's do it.
I'm used to hitting dope houses in the Lower East Side. This is great.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited to have this guy in the house today. I'm real excited to have him here because this is a guy that's all about change. It's a guy about really trying to do the right thing and make a big impact on New York City, one of the biggest and best cities around the world. So let's get into it.
I'd like to get right into, as a kid, I knew you were cleaning up the streets. You weren't afraid. You weren't afraid of where I came from, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, mob guys, street guys, mafia guys, whatever you want to call them. And still kept going.
Yeah.
Still kept going. And here you are today, going to be running for mayor. And this city does need a change.
Oh, no doubt. And I trace all of this back to my roots, Canarsie.
Right.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
And I sampled all of it. I did well in school because of the Jewish kids. The Jewish kids were always like pushing you academically. My cousin, the Supreme Cuisines, I'm in 4A, they're in 4F. You know what F stood for? Failure. And they would introduce me to all the wrong people and all the wrong things. Following the Jewish kids improved my grades, and it allowed me to have a balance which a lot of them didn't have. But I also met a lot of the people growing up who later on would be on the front pages. I call them the geriatric espresso sipping psychotic killers of organized crime.
Can I ask you this? Why? I would love for you to tell the audience, why did they put a hit on you? Why?
Well, it goes back to when we were growing up.
Oh,
it ends
does.
up that the guys who ended up with a contract, they attempted a second time with the guns, was little Nick Carrazzo and Jojo Carrazzo. That's the Canarsie wing of the Gambinos, and they knew me growing up there. Recently, you saw how they released Joey Testa, Anthony Centaur. Patty, boom, got whacked years before. Well, they used to play stickball on 89th and J. I taught him stickball. I was a stickball commissioner for 20 years. That was my sport.
So they all knew you.
They knew me, and then I see this guy Roy DeMeo coming around and giving them a cauliflower ear. You hot riding, you're taking your joyriding in cars. Here, make model, Avenue D, you get scattered all money. And all of a sudden they changed. And then they started doing blow.
Yeah.
And now they're looking at me like, you don't know me? You don't know, like they're paranoid, schizophrenic. So I grew up in that whole era, all those guys. And I had to walk a fine line. Like walking on Avenue L, you had the Gambinos on one side, the Lucchese's on the other side. You had to watch your back.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was not afraid, but I also wasn't crazy that I was going to crawl into the belly of the beast, because I knew what those guys were all about.
Well, back then, everybody I knew was a killer. Like it was comfortable to be around killers. It's crazy to say. It really is crazy to say, and I don't want, the audience. I want the audience to understand that it's not anything to be glamorized. It's the area we grew up in. The area, coming from that area, you're a product of your environment, unless you make a drastic change, like you went the other way to try to better clean up.
Well, the influence I had, my dad was a merchant seaman, so he was away 8 months of the year. So my grandfather, Fidel Bianchino, Bades.
But that's what I am, Bades. My family's from Bades.
And he was a watchman. At night, they were doing construction. They were subdividing Canarsie, which had been lots.
Right.
So the wise guys would come at night and want to steal, the plywood, the 2x4s, the nail, anything they could get their hands on.
Oh, yeah. Thieves.
And they would say, there's Fidel Bianchino. He won't look the other way. He would confront them with his cane.
Yeah. Thieves in the night.
He had cataracts, and he would confront them. These guys were bulls. So I'm looking at my grandfather. I'm just a little kid. I'm saying, oh, my God, they're going to kill him. He would not surrender. He would not retreat. And they had a respect for him because he stood up to them. Now, he didn't use violence, but he said, I'm the watchman. I'm responsible for all the property here. You're not going to take anything. And then it was high noon. And most times they get into their muscle cars that they had stolen and they were driving around in, and they go away. And I'd see my grandfather smoke his the noblest cigar like it was nothing.
Well, they say, if you know, if you're Italian, you would know this. The barets are doozy bats. They're a little bit crazy.
Well, you got that, and then you got the Calabrese.
Yeah,
They're hard-headed.
yes,
So, but no,
yes.
the Barets went both ways.
Right.
Like my own cousins looked at me after I got shot, like, you got shot because you're a damn rat. And I said, yeah, and I like the Parmesan cheese. Then they'd say, that's an ethnic slur. I said, what? If I said cheddar cheese, would that satisfy? These are my own cousins.
Yeah.
Who said you're robots for
Right.
being a rat.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you as a kid? Like, who was Curtis Sliwa as a kid? You obviously saw your grandfather. He was stepping up in the community, it sounds like. Who was the young Curtis Sliwa as a kid that eventually brought this man into this, you're now the head guy of the Guardian Angels for however many years and however many countries now.
I'm
You guys
glad-
are all over the world.
Right. I'm glad in that environment I was a mutt. My dad was Polish. That's why it's Sliwa. The way it's pronounced is Sliwa.
Okay.
Means plum.
Okay.
Like the Slivovitz, like the wine. So the guys would come up to me and he goes, "Yo, what? Polish?" I say, Polish.
Polish.
They couldn't find Poland on our map. It'd be hard pressed to find Italy on a map.
Right.
So I was an enigma. I hung out with them, but I didn't go the whole 9 yards with them. I always came up with excuses because I was very good at stickball. People would bet money. I'd go play with different teams. We'd go across in the Brownsville, play blacks, East New York, Puerto Ricans. It was risky, but I was so good you could actually win money. And I'd always tell them, "Oh, Lenny, Joey, I can't come with you today." "What's the problem?" "I got a fever in my foot. You know, it's contagious." Like, "Oh, fever in your foot. Don't come near me." I'd always have to whip up excuses to not hang out with them when I knew they were up to no good, potentially no good. I'm not talking about hot wiring a car for a joyride and parking it on the side. I'm talking about, I could tell they were starting a scheme. And these older Italian guys, these wise guys, who had no calluses on their hands. The only calluses they had was on their ass.
Right.
Because they sit on their ass and they would scheme all day to rip off hardworking Italian-American people.
That's basically back then. That's a lot of extortion. Going around shaking people down to give them money because they didn't want to go out. That's exactly what happened back then. It was more
And
or
they
less
look for degenerate gamblers, which all my uncles were. They work
Right.
10, 12 hours a day. They get the racing form. They do
Oh,
the
yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
They'd
That was
always
their life.
lose.
That's
And then
their-
the Bulls would come in. I'm in my cousin Jimmy Scalbone's butcher shop on Avenue K in Rockaway, right across from Canarsie High School. The Bulls are coming in. They take them in the back room. My Aunt Lucy was like crying, right? He's just a little guy, little Barets guy. "Hey, where's the money?" I walked back there because I was a gut buster. I used to make the sausage. I was
Right.
in the refrigerator at the time. "Hey, you, get the F out of here. Mind your business."
Right.
My uncle's like this. He was making his Sanka instant coffee, that tar
That's what they
that he
used
would
to use,
drink,
Sanka.
smoking his Chesterfield. He was like
Yeah.
shaking for days. And my Aunt Lucy came up with the money to keep the Bulls away.
Yeah, that's what they would do. They would come in and extort everything. And
Well, if they knew you were gambling,
Yeah.
they had a hook into you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of my uncles always thought with the racing form, the analytics, they go to Aqueduct,
Oh,
they
yeah.
meet the wise
They're gonna-
guys, and then they'd have to pay an enormous vig.
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
It hits home when I hear you talk, because you could see you were right in the heart of it. Just coming from where we come from in New York, I mean, just the lingo and the language that you use and how you describe it. You're the real deal. You come from this element of New York City, in and around the crime and the corruption. Is that what somewhat motivated you to be this protector in some way, shape, or form, like seeing this element as a young kid and then saying, "I want to be something different, I want to do something different"? I mean, tell us about that.
Well, I think that started in elementary school, because I was in the class, mostly the Jewish kids. They get the New York Times delivered and get homeroom. They give it to you free to try to cater you as a reader. And some of the wannabe wise guys will come up to them, take their watch, take their money. So the Jewish kids would come up to me, "Curtis, you go talk to them." Okay, I'll knock myself out. So I go up to them. "Hey, Joey, come on.
Give it to me.
his booby, what do you mean booby? His grandmother gave him the watch. If he doesn't show where the watch is,
He's
you're
right.
gonna be in trouble. What are you gonna do with that watch? Come on, give me the watch. Nobody has to know. Sometimes okay, he's a blankety blank blank. Other times, what's it to you?
Yeah.
And that's words. That means you're gonna have to fight.
You're going to have a problem.
You're gonna there's no turning back then.
Yeah, you're going to have a problem.
What's it to you?
Yeah.
Not even waiting. Preemptively, bam!
Right.
And then you're wrestling around. You end up in a principal's office just to get Malcolm Piro's watch back. And then they thought I was crazy. Out of my mind, they said, this guy's a nut. He doesn't fight for himself. Some Jewish kid comes up to him because, hey, we were playing with him. We took his yarmulke, threw it around, and now he's going to make it his business. So they respected me, but they also thought, this guy's off the hook. And again, he ain't one of us. He's what? He's Polish? Where is that place again? They'd always say that. As long as I said Christopher Columbus discovered the New World, I was okay with that.
Yeah. So it's the same thing now, wanting to clean up and protect New Yorkers, which I do believe New York needs a major change. It hasn't had change in many, many, many years.
Again, it goes back to my grandfather, Fidel Bianchino, Nicoletta Bianchino. She would go out, she would scrub the stairs, scrub the sidewalk. My grandfather would sweep the whole block. The Italians did that. They took care of not just their property, everyone's property.
I know because I'm like that. It's OCD. Like my house, you could eat off my floors in my backyard. my backyard, my pavers, right? My yard, you could eat off the floors. I'm constantly cleaning.
And this is what I started to do, clean up. I had the first recycling program ever in New York City. There was no such term as recycling, Earth Day. You had to deal with the wise guys because they handled all the junkyards, all the places that you would have to bring the paper, the cardboard, the cans, everything back then. They didn't have recycling. I started the first ones, and they thought I was robots because I collect tons.
Can we get a call
And this
in?
came from my grandfather.
Yeah.
Who would go out and collect all kinds of junk in the lots.
So, the mafia obviously tried to put a contract out. They did put a contract on in your life. John Gotti Jr.
Yep.
He tried to kill you. You were shot multiple times. How many times?
Michael Leonardi, who came from where? Canarsie. Everybody seemed to come from Canarsie.
Yeah.
Popped me 5 times. Shot 6 times. Got me 5 times. Hollow point
Mikey
bullet.
Scars had him shot 5 times. Somebody from his crew.
First shot, he missed my head.
Okay.
Not because I'm Bruce Lee, but he needs target practice. You see, if it has shot me right between the eyes, maybe you should go for target practice now that you're out of jail and finished the job. Come get me. I'm still here.
Whoa.
That's it. Well, I'll tell you what. We got a former Gambino hitman calling in because I asked him. I says, "Would you vote for Curtis Sliwa?"
Okay, let's hear it. Is he calling my phone?
He's going to be calling shortly.
Okay, did you tell him?
He's going to be calling shortly.
What's his name?
John A-Light.
Oh, the Albanian bad boy.
The Albanian bad boy.
You know, he had the first chance to get me.
he had the first
That's
opportunity.
right.
He told me he didn't want to kill you though. So when I had the conversation with him, he said he didn't want to take that job to.
Back then.
Question they would have did it
back then. No. He just didn't get to me first.
He didn't get to you first.
Leonardi, Joey D'Angelo got to me first.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Well,
I would not have wanted to deal with him.
Yeah.
Because he was short. I would not have anticipated the same thing. Like eventually when I realized I'm in the back of the cab with this Joey D'Angelo, I found out later, and Leonardi pops up, bang, 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 bang. I mean, it would have been tougher for me.
Let me get him on the phone. Does he have headphones? Yeah, you have headphones on your side?
When he calls in, we can put in the headphones.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You need him to call in on her number or mine?
He'll have to plug into this when he calls.
Okay.
All right.
I'll get him on the line now.
Where's he calling from? Witness Protection Program?
No. I gotta say, John A-Light, he goes around with a big head.
I see him all the time.
He's not afraid. He gets out there.
I see him all the time.
What I want to know when he calls in is this guy going to vote for you? That's what I want to know because I'll tell you what.
Wait, is he able to vote?
Yes, he can vote.
Okay, I
he
just
can
want,
vote.
some wise guys, they can
No,
never vote
Well,
again.
he might
Well,
not be able to vote, but I want to know if he would vote. Listen,
Good.
he's heavily into politics. I see this guy over the
Definitely.
phone. I seen him in pictures with Donald Trump recently.
I need all the votes I
He's
can get.
supporting the. He was just at what's his name in Jersey. Is it the?
Citarelli?
Yeah,
Jack Citarelli.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. He was just.
Moy, right?
Yeah,
he's right out of
he's
Central
supporting
Cast.
him.
So we want to. We need to hit home.
Okay, here he
And
is.
make sure
Put this
people
on.
really understand why they need to vote for this guy right
Toby,
here.
1 minute.
All right, so get him on. Just
I was-
speak to him first.
Hey, John.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, hold on. We're gonna hook this up. 1 second.
Headphones over there.
Getting the headphones here. Got it.
Hey, John, we got Curtis Sliwa in here today on the podcast. You want to say hello to this guy? I know you were contracted at some point to try to put a hit on him and, so on and so forth, but apparently you didn't want to do that.
No, yeah, definitely. I got a lot of respect for Curtis.
You got a lot of respect for Curtis. John, hold on 1 second. I want to see if we could up the volume on John's...
Yeah, it's on your phone.
It's on my phone.
Turn the volume up on your phone.
Okay.
Toby, take your headphone off. Take it-
Okay.
just get the-
He's actually, before you called in, Curtis said he knows you, he likes you, and he's seen you several times.
Yeah, we've run into each other over the last decade or so. Several occasions, met up, shook hands, had a drink, talked. I did his radio show actually a couple times, and I heard he's running for mayor again.
Would you vote for him?
100%. I don't know anybody that's more dedicated through their life to New York City than Curtis.
100%. And I'll tell you what.
Somebody that's more dedicated than him, I don't think there is.
And this is why I wanted to get this guy to call in, just to make a statement, to make a point. I mean, at one point, he could have almost been looked like as a total opposite side, the arch enemy. But it shows you really what's even going on with the politics today around the country and especially in New York City. I mean, we got a big, big problem with the politics and the policies and the corruption that's going on across the entire city. It's a total shit show. I mean, I don't. There's no other way to put it as far as what's going on in New York. And John, I thank you for calling in today. We appreciate it. And
I like to say one more thing before I hang up. Donald Trump risked his life for this country, and he showed it. And Curtis Sliwa did the same thing for New York City. No different. He risked his life every day as a guardian angel. He went out. He fought against the mob. He fought against a lot of people, and he continues to fight for New York City. So
That's
couldn't be a
why,
great-
John, we all have to support him as much as we can. Everybody get out there, and keep promoting him. So the city hopefully could make a change and clean up, because he definitely wants to clean it up, and I don't understand how people wouldn't want that.
I'll definitely support him 1,000% any way I can.
awesome.
And
Great.
enjoy you guys, and thanks a lot. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year.
Same to you. Love you, John. Talk
God
to you
bless.
soon.
Merry Christmas, pal.
See you guys.
Bye.
God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, there you got it. Now, this is a guy that was at odds with you and now would definitely know he would vote for you, because he knows, like he said, same thing with Donald Trump, you would want to clean up the city.
Well, remember, Trump has already acknowledged when he
Right.
was a big builder in New York, he couldn't lay a square foot of concrete without dealing with the wise guys.
Exactly.
They had the construction industry.
Oh, they had it locked up.
Totally. You didn't deal with them, your building didn't go up.
Right.
So he had to talk about the art of the deal. Mm-hmm. Now that's quite a deal to be
Right.
making with guys who can control your whole project. And so obviously he morphed beyond there, ran for president. I grew up with wise guys my whole life, Johnny A-Light.
Mm-hmm.
He had the contract first, Albania Bad Boy. If he had snuck up on me, if he had japped me, I don't think I would have been able to figure out this guy was looking out for me. Iannotti, man, he looked like a psycho killer, right? Joey D'Angelo, who had been with Sammy the Bull first. He had to prove himself. That's why he was the driver in the cab that they they stole and knew that I would get in the back, and that's where they were going to do me in. But Johnny A. Like, no, you look at him, you come on, who's he?
Yeah.
Meantime, he had that first contract to whack me. He just didn't get there first. He'll
Right.
never admit it. He didn't get there first.
He said he didn't want to kill you. That's
Come on. Come on. Fairy tales.
Yeah,
They had 4 different people coming after me, scoping me out
Isn't
where
that
I live.
crazy?
And I got to tell you that Iannotti, the Carrazzos, because they knew me best, they grew up with me, and Mikey Scars, the Leonardo, he did the plans. Right there in Howard Beach, they plotted out. This is where he goes. This is how you get him. You just got to have patience. And they told him, don't, Iannotti, try to shoot him in the head.
I got to say, though, Mikey Scars, he changed his life. He's a different person today. He really is. I'm friends with him,
Sure.
and I think that he, from what he says, and I see, what I've seen of him is that he's changed his life totally, where he has a lot of remorse, like John A. Light. A lot of them don't. Even though they cooperate, they still walk around and they boast about what they've done. They brag about what they've done. Mikey really feels bad about the things he's
Remember,
done.
12
how do you
years
feel
that
about
case was in limbo. 12 years. He got jammed up on 3 murders. He took a proffer. When he came back,
Mikey.
They make you queen for the day. What can you tell us that we don't know?
Right.
Finally, when they put the screws to him, his lawyer, he had a conversation. You know that Sliwa shooting? The FBI wasn't too kind to me. They said, "Oh, you mean that loudmouth? I know how it happened." What do you mean you know how it happened? I'm the guy who planned it.
Okay.
Oh, now they were all ears. That's
Okay.
12 years after the fact. Before that, people think I'm a raving lunatic. You shot yourself. You were driving the car.
Oh, my God.
I said, I'm still on talk radio.
Right.
Wise guys have people go, hey, you wanted the publicity. You stole the cab. You were driving it. You took that 38 and shot yourself. I said, that's a pretty damn good trick.
You know what,
I can see maybe 1 time. 5 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, you figured it out.
Isn't it crazy? People are crazy. They don't listen to the facts. It happens to me all the time, being a podcaster. I guess because I'm the only female really right now in this genre of crime. There is nobody else doing crime but me as far as deep organized crime. These men have very little egos. They get like the messages, like they get so like, she's a liar. How do you lie about being indicted on a RICO? I mean,
you're also one of the very few women that were deeply involved in organized crime. It's not just a podcast.
I mean, it was validated. People called in from federal prison and validated that, and they still say she's a liar, she's a rat. I never had to rat.
Well, join the club. Do
I mean,
you eat the Parmesan cheese? You know, I ate the Parmesan cheese,
then I
and
ate
it's
the
not an ethnic slur.
But I
like the
actually,
Lucatelli.
I like the Lucatelli. I'm going to go with the Lucatelli.
See, that really, when they come up to me at the feast, hey, you a rat.
Oh, yeah, they all
the
do
time.
this.
You a rat. And I say, yes, I am. I love Parmesan cheese. That's an ethnic slur. It's like, since when is it just an Italian thing, Parmesan cheese?
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
which is a good question. What we need to get into next is they're calling you a rat. You're a guy that's been serving the people, the city of New York, like going out of your way to help people. But yet here they are, they're calling you a rat.
yeah.
Why did John Gotti Jr. put the contract out on your life? Do you even know the answer to that?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with him at first. I'm sure he was involved in other things. Remember, he was the underboss.
He was the underboss.
While his dad was on trial. This all had to do with that last trial in which Sammy the Bull flipped. They had Memorex tapes above the Ravenite Social Club, and it was bye-bye. They had it locked down. He was heading to Marion. The one thing I didn't take into effect is that when you're incarcerated, as he was being held, he was remanded to jail, no bail. They give them an AM radio, no FM, AM.
Oh.
And who is on with Angels in the Morning each morning, critiquing the case from the day before? Me. We had a mob talk segment.
They don't like you.
Oh, he was going nuts. Some of the COs, correctional officers who were responsible, said, man, every time he turned that on, the F-bomb. And apparently in a meeting he had with his son, He said, I need you to shut that guy up. So they tried the first time,
Oh,
April
so it
of
came
92.
from Senior, you
Oh,
believe?
yeah.
So
Okay.
John Gotti was the one that put the contract
Yeah,
out.
he was
Senior.
listening every morning.
Yes, Senior.
I couldn't have been more vicious to the guy. You know,
Right.
everything that they would say about the
Okay,
neighborhood.
I didn't know that.
Oh, the neighborhoods were better. I'd say, are you kidding? If people shooting up, they're stealing tools, they're doing home, they didn't like that. And I said, you can thank John Gotti Sr. and the Gambino crime family. And then I mentioned all the Gambinos who torched, who arson business, who shook down people. And then after they tooled me up with baseball bats in April of 92, they broke my shoulder, they broke my elbow. This was, I call it the United Nations team. Mikey McLaughlin, the Irish guy.
The Irish.
Steve Kaplan, the Jewish guy, Ruggiero. They tooled me up right outside of my apartment on Avenue N, St. Mark's. Hit me like 32 times. I could even see the autograph for Joe DiMaggio. And I was lucky to get over the fence at Tompkins Square Park.
So they got you more than once.
They hit me 32 times.
Wow.
I'm still showing the effects of that.
So it
Wow.
says something. You're supposed to be here.
But
John-
you see, I was supposed to learn. That
were
was the
supposed
beat
to-
down
right.
to shut your mouth. I would go to the hospital. They want to keep me for a week because I had a concussion. I checked myself out. I'm on the radio the next day. I said, okay, now I'm going to fix you guys. The Silver Fox Bar, I start out. My wife at the time, Lisa, said, oh, my God, here he goes. She stepped out. I said, the Silver Fox Bar, you remember that? Remember Danny Silver? Remember how Gotti Jr. gutted him out, Ruggiero? Huh? Now I can tell the story. The old man went nuts.
He's probably
He
going
goes, that's
crazy.
a murder rap. There's no statute
They're
of
probably saying,
limitations.
shut him
He
up.
pinned you to that killing. You are going to have to whack him.
Oh.
But you blew it with your United Nations team of McLaughlin, Kaplan, Ruggiero. So now you're going to go to JoJo and Canarsie and little Nick Carrazzo, who hates this MFer, and you're going to ask them to take care of it, which was obviously Gotti Jr. didn't feel good about that. He's basically saying you couldn't handle it.
Right.
Now look at this. Now the guy's got a murder rap on you. And he go, all the feds listen to him, all the cops, all the wise guys. You don't do it, man. And they do a deep dive and they prove what he said. Because my cousin Butchie was at the bar. He was half in the bag. He told me
Oh, they
everything.
probably hate you. They
He
hated
told
you.
me everything. And I said, okay, I got this one. Bam. And that's a murder rap. And then eventually the guy who came out of the crowd said to the DTs, yeah, I know who did it. That was my best friend. He was hanging from a tree a few weeks later outside of the Aqueduct racetrack. His knees were hitting the concrete. I know what that means. There was no suicide there. That means anybody says anything,
That's what you're
same
getting
thing
next.
happens to you.
Next.
And then I just doubled down. Now remember, I'm the most powerful radio station in the nation. Morning Drive, Mob Talk. Everybody was listening.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting my revenge. And they figured, okay, we'll get you.
Oh, they hate when you
And
do
that's
that.
when they started to
They
scope
hate
me,
it.
plan it, rob the cab, brought it to the biggest chop shop in North America, Jamaica Salvage. Went inside, customized it so it would be a moving coffin, and went round and round the block. And eventually on the 9th day, I got into the back of the cab, and they thought it was the lottery for them.
Wow. John Gotti tried to have you killed. The guy sitting
Senior.
next to
Senior.
Ordered Junior to
you.
do
Ordered
it.
Junior to do
Right.
it. Wow.
Because
Right.
he said, and this came out in court, this guy disrespected your mother, your sister, you, me, the whole
Everybody.
family. I don't ever want to hear him again on the radio. Wow. So he understood what that meant.
Right. I think, though, back then, like I always try to say, because we're from the same era, is that murder was like, you hear of it, it was like, that's why Giuliani came up with the RICO, because there was so many bodies turning up. People were getting killed left and right. It was not anything that was like, you take over my corner of a pot corner, say back then, a small little pot corner, the guy's getting killed. Like, you would get killed for such little things. Like, it was part of that era.
And he's bad-mouthing on the radio one of the most powerful mob
Back
bosses
then.
in the country at that time, along with
And-
their crews.
But they had power back then.
Big time. And
They-
remember, Giuliani wasn't made yet.
No.
It was David.
Yeah.
2,000 murders a year, 10,000 unsolved shootings.
I know. Murders were coming up. Bodies were coming up left and right.
Right. So when the DT sweated me down at the 9th precinct, they showed me the photo. Right. I said, they're not in the photo right here. He said, yes, they are. I said, no,
they're not.
Why are you fixing this, right? And so I had to go to war against the NYPD. Again, there's no Giuliani. They tried to put a gag order on me.
Yeah, there was so much corruption, though.
But the U.S. government supported them. I said, I thought you got my back.
There
He
was
said,
so
we
much
represent
corruption.
the government. We don't represent you. We want a gag order on you. Jeffrey Lichtman was the attorney in the first trial. He wanted a gag order. My company that owned WABC at the time was Disney. I said, they're not going to defend me. I must have gotten lucky. They actually sent a good lawyer in, and they won the case for me on a First Amendment right of free speech. But you imagine, I had a great lawyer, Jeffrey Lichtman, filing to put a gag on him. And the U.S. attorneys who were supposed to represent me. We don't represent you, Mr. Sliwa. We represent the U.S. government. Oh, so I'm just collateral damage, right?
Yes.
That's all it is. It's really had nothing to do with the victims.
But back then, I know because I hung with all these people. It was like unheard of to do what you did. It was like unheard of. That's a death warrant.
Yeah,
a death wish.
I'm not stupid. I knew that. I knew there was I had a mark.
They had so much power.
They had the cops.
Warrant. Exactly.
They had the judges.
Yes.
They had everybody.
Yes, back then.
We find out later that it wasn't Bruce Cutler, little Mussolini.
Yeah, no, it was that they had all.
It fixed the jury.
They fixed it all for money because they all had big money.
The jury.
The Gambino crime family was bringing in millions and millions of dollars. They had this private sanitation locked up, the construction locked up, everything. They had their hands in everything.
That's right. And look, I grew up in that world. I remember the Gottis from up in East New York, Rockaway and Fulton as a kid. They were already jadruls, knuckle draggers.
Right.
No brains, all muscle, jadruls.
Yeah. All right, we're going to close out, and
we'll do another episode on politics with this.
Yes,
guy,
we're going to come
into
back.
Politics with him, so
we're going to come back.
Oh, that's dirtier than organized crime.
All right, we're coming back.
The only thing that's different, no dead bodies. Politics is the dirtiest thing I've ever been involved with, and I've been involved with the mob. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Guys,
that's why we want to talk about it.
Stay tuned. Thank you, Jesus. God bless.
God bless.
Subscribe.
All right, so we'll do another one now.